Just a second. It's preparing live stream. We're about halfway there. Like I need it, right?
I'd like to call to order the April 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Smithville Planning and Zoning Commission. Notice is hereby given pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Vernon and Civ Statute Article 6252-17, that the city of Smithville will conduct a planning and zoning meeting on April 2nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers located at 317 Main Street, Smithville, Texas. I'm Garrett Gutierrez. I'm the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves, starting on my right, your left.
Caroline Noya.
I'm Nancy Catherine.
The first item on the agenda is going to be discussion and action on approval of the minutes of the February 6, 2024 meeting. Has everybody had a chance to look over those?
I move we accept the minutes as circulated.
I have a motion and second. Everybody in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. All not in favor?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself from the entire next set of items.
Okay. Next agenda item, discussion and action on zone change from single family dwelling district SF1 to highway commercial C3 for the north half of lot 7.096 acres from parcel 15832. Property owner Pivot Endeavors LLC, agent Troy Stroyer. Do we have anybody here to speak on that?
Yes, I have a couple people signed up to speak on item number 3 and 4. But we'll just do number 3 first, and then we'll do number 4, right? So do you want to call them now? Okay. So the first one I have is going to be Miss Cheryl McNeil. Is that right? Or McNulty? McNeil, I said it right.
Yes, ma'am. If you don't mind, make sure the microphone's on and speak clearly into it for the folks that are watching on.
Can you hear me?
And I will tell you that we do have a 3-minute timer. Everybody has 3 minutes to speak when you sign up to speak. If chair decides to give you longer, he'll make that call, okay?
Okay, I've lived on 307 Bishop for 44 years now. It was a lovely neighborhood when we moved here, and it still is. But we're not anticipating a bar and grill in our neighborhood. We're going to have added traffic, noise, and I'm just not thinking the neighbors are happy with this. Our home is going to be devalued. I can't imagine anybody wanting to buy it now. I don't know why it wasn't put downtown. Carney Lenta, the Fat Cat Lounge, and the wine bar, they're all downtown. It only makes sense to be there and not in a residential neighborhood where families are raising their children and grandkids. I don't know that it's far enough from the Catholic Church, really, to be a bar and grill. If it's further than it has to be. I know we need businesses in Smithville, but I don't think we need any more bars. I'd rather have a clothing store or a supermarket, but we also have to worry about the noise. And there's only one house in between me and this new bar and grill that we're going to get. So I'm just not happy, and I know the neighbors on my block aren't. There's widows, and I live by myself, and I don't want to hear car doors and cars driving up and down the alley and around the house at 10 and 11 at night. I just don't think that's fair. But that's really, and I know you're supposed to sell 51% more food than you do alcohol, so that's gonna have to be monitored to make sure. And I don't know who monitors that, but I just am worried about the noise and the cars and the traffic. Thank y'all.
Okay, next I have Mr. Grover Shade, 204 and 206 Bishop.
I'm pinch hitting for former school superintendent Rock McNulty. Rock lives right across the street from me. My wife Sue and I live at 204 Bishop.
You got to speak into the mic.
Okay.
Sorry.
My wife and Sue and I live at 204 Bishop. Dr. McNulty and his wife Shelley live across the street from us. He wrote a beautiful letter that represents the way I and Sue feel. He and his wife, everybody that signed it. I assume you got that in your packet. And some of those people are here tonight. Ms. McNeil and just spoke, and Matt and Hillary Alcorn are sitting back there by her. They've lived all over, from Michigan to New York City to Austin to Smithville, and they're great neighbors. And I'm going to just, with your permission, I'll try to stay within 3 minutes, but I would like to read Dr. McNulty's letter to you just in case you haven't had time. Dear members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, this letter is in regard to discussion and actions on items of April 2nd, 2024 meeting, which included the following agenda items, and I'm not going to read those. We ask that the members of the City of Smithville Planning and Zoning Commission consider carefully and not approve the above listed actions for the following reasons. Number one, this business, particularly of selling alcohol, will be located within a school zone on a main thoroughfare. It is located as a busy intersection, particularly during school hours and the school activities. This business, number two, this business, particularly of selling alcohol, is within 300 feet of a church property. That'd be the Catholic Church, and he has a notation here, see Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission Code. Number three, the addition of parking, loading, and masonry walls will devalue the residential property in the neighborhood surrounding the property. Number four, the creation of more impermeable surface with the creation of parking and loading lots and masonry walls has the potential of creating a serious drainage problem to an already sensitive and less than tenable street drainage system for our neighborhood. Thank you for your consideration in this matter and your work for the city. In closing, I'll say one more thing, and that is if you lived in a residential area, and I hope you do, you probably do, like we do, would you want a bar and grill in your neighborhood? And I live one house away from Loop 230, and that is an extremely busy street. And it'll just be busier and more dangerous if you've got a bar and a grill at the intersection. Thank you.
Oh, no. How do you stop it? Oh, hold on. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so next we have Miss Hillary, and if I'm pronouncing this wrong, please correct me, Alcock?
Hi, Thank you. My name's Hillary Alcock. I live at 200 Bishop Street. That's, I guess, outside of the bounds. I guess it was 200 feet. However, all the northeast facing windows of our house look out to this lot on the other side of Loop 230. I live next door to Grover and Sea Shade. My concerns are about the hours of this business. Right now, our Bishop Street is quiet. At night, there are no cars on our street. People are either getting ready to go to bed at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or they're already in bed. We don't have to listen to cars going up and down our street, and I don't want that kind of noise in our neighborhood. I'm concerned about the number of people that will be working at the bar and grill. Where are they going to park their cars? How many people need to go to the bar and grill a night for this to be a sustainable business? Where are they parking their cars? So I'm truly against this, and I hope that you will deny this. Thank you.
Next is Monica Poss.
Hello, Monica Poss, 705 Hudgens Street. But I also own property at 306 Bishop. It's the sweet little fairy tale Tudor brick house, just a little bit up and across the street from this particular property. And I spoke with the city manager this afternoon to find out if I needed to recuse myself from voting on these issues since I was a property owner in that radius. And he said that technically I did not, but it still felt like it would be a conflict of interest to me. And so I've chosen to recuse myself from the vote anyway. But I do have an opinion as a citizen, and I want to speak up. I have conceptually no issue with C3 zoning along the loop. There are a number of businesses along the loop that work very well. And Doug's Plumbing was always a fantastic neighbor. If we were going to have a commercial building or commercial business on the corner, Doug's was ideal. They kept sort of normal business hours, about 7:30 to 5:30-ish. They were not a noisy business. They parked all of their trucks in their lot and left overnight. No noise overnight. And this property does directly abut residential property. It is in the same block with several other residential properties. It already takes up, if you look at the zoning map and ignore the bleeding, I guess, the color bleeding that we think is at issue here above their property line, they already have more, they already creep deeper into the residential portion of the neighborhood than most of the other commercial properties along the loop. The other commercial properties have, I think those lots are, 60-foot wide, and theirs is substantially wider. So it's already moving into the neighborhood more than most of the other commercial properties right around it. And yet they're asking to creep in even further. That is not in the public's best interest. Nor do they say they had special circumstances on this lot that would require a variance. These are just things they want to make their business better. And I understand as a business owner, I want my business to be the best it can be. So I understand where they're coming from. But it's not good for the neighborhood, especially to set a precedence for C3 zoning to creep further and further and further into what is and has been residential neighborhood. Thank you.
Next, I have Charles, and I apologize, but I'm not sure what the last name, if it's King or Kreitz or Kindemba.
I'm the person that lives right next door. Troy approached me and my brother. And we discussed everything I was doing, and we also saw he was going to have a need for parking. And therefore, to keep from having cars parking up and down the street, we'll sell you the lot next to our house, so you have that available to you. So that you do have parking, so that you aren't parking on the street. And that's pretty much what we are. I understand what kind of a business he's putting there. I understand it's gonna be family oriented. I know there will be some music. I've been, told that it won't be until, 10 in the evenings on weekdays, and then maybe around 11 or so on weekends. So it's not going to be a per se evil bar. So, we need to rethink that kind of thing because it's not that kind of a situation. So, just wanted to let you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's all the public comment I have for item number 3.
Do we have anybody from Pivot Endeavors that would like to speak on behalf of them?
Troy would like to.
Off. I'm happy to be here and discuss all this stuff. I keep hearing some stuff, and I've been hearing this stuff for quite a while from some people, but I think the concept of what we're doing is just taken out of context. I hear stuff like noise, I hear stuff, traffic, I hear bar. I hear people talking about our hours. We've never even discussed hours, so I don't know what people have hours issue. I mean, we have not even got to that point yet. I hear parking. So first off, what we're doing is, I'm sure you know me, I've owned Pockets for 28 years. I've got a good pulse on Smithville, and if you ask people what they want in town, they want variety, and this is something we're trying to bring. I'm not trying to bring a bar. I'm trying to bring a restaurant, and that serves drinks. I mean, yes, that it's not considered a bar. I have no thought on having these late night parties. The concept of this has just gotten out of hand. Yes, we do have to sell 51% food, and that is TABC handles that, Cheryl. So it's. I have the logo. Our motto of this place is a place for food, friends, family, and fun. We're going to have. We're plus property value. We're putting about $400,000 into this place. Complete remodel. We'll have a playground. We'll have outdoor seating. This is a place that you can bring your kids. It's a place that you can bring your family. It's a place that you can, at happy hour, after work, go have a drink with your colleagues, and then turn around and have dinner with your family. It's all about, the whole concept of this was brought between my partner Craig and I, as we didn't have anywhere in town to go eat, take our kids, and feel comfortable. And so that's kind of how all this came about. And Cheryl, we did look downtown. We did look downtown, but we want an outdoor experience, and you can't have that downtown. This is a perfect building. It has a beautiful outdoor area covered by trees, and that's kind of what we're looking for. And I completely understand where you're coming from, but and traffic. We're on the Loop 230. I don't know how much more traffic you can get than what's on Loop 230. We don't look at bringing a million people into the town. It'd be nice, it'd be great for business, but it's not something we're looking at. But noise, traffic, I don't think is an issue. I don't like the word bar. I've never used the word bar in what I'm doing. I guess the best thing I can example I can think of is Chili's. Like you don't think of Chili's as a bar. It's just a place that you go have dinner, and if you want a drink, you can have one. So as far as the property and this issue right here, when we first bought the property and approached Mr. Knipp about it, I was going off this map right here, and I thought it was already zoned C3. So, and it matched the the property line of the Owl Inn right behind it. So coming forward with that, and the reason we bought this property, technically, we could, we have enough parking to do what we want to do with what we have. So we approached Mr. Knipp about this lot to alleviate the parking issue and we're adding 12 parking spots with this. So we're very, and then we also have a right of first refusal on Mr. Knippa's property as well. I mean, we're being very proactive about this and looking ahead and moving forward. And, you know, I guess that's, you know, like I said, hours, we really haven't set hours. I mean, it's very much in the conceptual stage at this point still. So, but bar, I mean, I hate the word bar. It's not a bar. I don't want to own a bar. So
You said it was a bar and grill when you talked to me.
there's a bar. Yes, we will sell mixed drinks. We sell them. Well, yes, but is Chili, do you consider Honey's? Honey's had a bar in it. Was it a bar? It was a restaurant. Well, okay. Well, I mean, it's a restaurant. Okay. Well, I mean, but when I think of a bar, I think of Charlie's or a place that just serves liquor and no food. Like my main part of this is a restaurant, and we do want to offer drinks if someone wants to drink while they're eating. So I mean, that's it. I have no interest in owning like a roadhouse type bar. And noise, I mean, you know, I don't know what we're doing, but there are ordinances that are strict, that restrict, there's noise ordinances that, you know, we'll have to abide by. So, I mean, in that case, I mean, there are rules set in place. So if that becomes an issue, then that's, the noise ordinance will supersede anything that we try and do. So, you know, residential area, guys, listen, I live right behind here. I live on Ramona here. I live with a commercial property across from me, and I have a liquor store across from me. So, I mean, I get it, you know? I mean, I bought a house. Would I buy it there again? Well, maybe not, but I have a house. So I deal with a commercial property. I deal with lights turning in my living room all the time. I mean, I'm not totally like oblivious to what you guys your issues are, but I'm buying a property in a commercial district, and I'm close to Loop 230, the busiest road in town. So, you know, if we're talking about traffic, it shouldn't be affecting anybody, especially on the 200 block. I don't know why people would be driving down the 200 block. They would be driving out of our place and getting on Loop. So. But I guess what I really want to say, as opposed to this, is we're just trying to be really, you know, looking forward and making this to alleviate any issues that could come further. Like I said, I believe it's 2 spots per 300 square feet. I mean, square feet. I mean, and that's 6 parking spots. So basically, we could open up with 6 parking spots. We don't want to do that. We see that as an issue. I don't want people parking up and down the street. I don't want that. So that is why we moved forward and bought this lot to help alleviate the parking. So, and that moving forward, and like I said, as moving forward, when we first purchased, as illustrated here, we thought it was already zoned C3. So, thank you.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
If this is gonna be a restaurant, do you know about how many seats you're gonna be having in the restaurant?
I don't know the
Like whether it's
seats.
20 or 60 or 100?
I don't have that on with me.
I didn't know how big the building was.
It's the building is 1,500 square feet. We're adding 300 square feet to it, so it'll be 1,800 square feet. But like half of that is, you know, it's just bathrooms and prep area and yeah. And you know, we're also another thing. We're having an ice cream. I mean, again, asserting to the family friendly. We're building an ice cream kiosk, and this is just I can't help but push forward like this bar thing. This is super family friendly, like playground, ice cream. You know, we'll have cornhole. You know, it's just a place that
Where are you planning to have all that, the play structure or outdoor
It'll be
dining?
in the back.
In-
I don't know if
it-
you've, I don't know if you've been in the
We,
back.
we've drove, by- well, I've driven by there a couple of times. So it's going to be in the part of the lot that you purchased in
No,
the
no, no,
back
it'll-
there?
It'll be along the loop side and along the back.
Okay,
back area.
okay, the loops, okay, where behind the fence.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a comment that I want to make. I too thought it was C3. Because I worked on the last redoing of the city, and I think there was one, Robert, you would have been in high school, but uh, uh, I know they refer to one in 98 or 99, but I think there was another one with Bob Miller that those of us who were then on planning and zoning revamped a lot in the city. And it was shortly after 71 bypassed, which, by the way, I get to look at. Initially, we made all of Loop 230 C3 because there were spots in many of the blocks that were commercial. And a lot of the residents did not like that. So that's why I don't know what the map looks like exactly now, but I know there's still areas of C3 and areas of SF1. In driving down there today, there's block after block that it's businesses that face the block that you're in right now. There's I guess they have apartments that used to be
Oh, on,
the French name, Le Beche. Let our Louisiana gal tell us how to pronounce it. And then there was Doug's, and think before that there was a dry cleaner in that place.
There was actually a restaurant there.
Yeah,
There was a barbecue place there at one time too.
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am, please. And then I noticed there's Susanna's across the street. So there are businesses there, and they're not just newly there. I want to say that to clarify some things that that's what went on. And that's why I also thought that those areas were C3. As far as what you're wanting to do, I think you're a very respected businessman in this town, Troy. I understand the neighbors' concerns. I would tell you, I would rather have you have a place next to me up off Charleston Boulevard than having Highway 71 going by. I've been frequenting Pocket since you were on Main Street. And I don't recall ever hearing of problems with drunks or alcohol or anything of that sort. I know you run a pretty tight ship. And I'm just speaking as a customer, but also as a business person, which I was in this town for many years. And I wish you had more information to give us. I think it would be great to have a nice dining restaurant that you could take children to, where they could sit down with a napkin and flatware and plates and learn how to eat in public. And I think that's kind of what you're aiming for, is a neighborhood place.
100%. And I'm glad you bring my reputation in there, because I do have a reputation that I've been in business for 28 years. I've run a very successful business. I'm one of the longest running restaurants in Bastrop County. I'm one of the longest running businesses in Smithville, and I take a lot of pride in that. I mean, this isn't some, this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and um, I think this is a great location. And, you know, I'm not gonna be, it's not gonna be some honky tonk off the chain place. It just really bothers me. And again, I can't reiterate that I hate the word bar. People just keep saying bar, 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 bar. And it's, I sell beer at Pockets. Pockets isn't a bar, I mean, it's a place that you can, you know, get dinner. My wife likes, champagne. She likes her, she likes her champagne. She likes to have a mixed drinks while she eats. We plan on doing mocktails for the kids, like fun drinks, with, it's just geared towards the whole family thing. And I kind of want to go back to the noise thing and the fact that this building is zone commercial. And I can think of a lot worse things that could come in that spot that nobody can say anything about. I mean, a dog kennel. What if a dog kennel came in there and had dogs barking 24/7? What if someone can open up a motorcycle shop there and they could be working on motorcycles? There's no out to say what time they can stop working on motorcycles. I mean, they could be revving up motorcycles all night. So when you look in the scheme of things that could come in there, I feel you should be happy it's something that I have a hand on and that I'm in control of, because I'm going to make it right. And it's going to be something Smithville can be proud of. It's going to be something that you can be proud of. And that's what I want to say. So, but I'm glad you said something about my reputation, because I do stand by my reputation and what I've done and what I can do. And I understand there's 3 people that are upset about this, but there's a town of 4,501 people that want some selection and want a place to go and want something to do other than having to drive. I mean, listen, I love that restaurants are closing. I mean, from the business standpoint, right? But from a resident of this town, I hate it. Like, this town, it's not good for this town. And I'm tired of driving to LaGrange. I'm tired of driving to Bastrop. I want to be here. And I want to support my town and put money into my town.
Does anybody else have any comments or questions? I do have one, just to clarify, point number 3 or item number 3. So the zoning change from single family to commercial, and that is specifically for that lot to become a parking space?
Correct.
Okay.
And like I've mentioned before, me and Mr. Canepa we have a right of first refusal on his property as well. So, I mean, we're just like I've mentioned before, we're just kind of foreseeing things that, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I hope we're very successful and we bring people from all around in to come eat and we plan on doing community events and whatnot. So yeah, hopefully we will need more parking, and that's kind of the steps that we're taking to help alleviate any issues. And I feel that should be taken into consideration, that we are taking steps to we've been trying to buy the piece of property behind us as well. So, we're aggressively trying to, make everybody happy in a sense, right? I mean, I understand people are going to be upset, but, I'm doing my best to make this a positive thing and moving forward.
If there's no more questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Based on the information that we received tonight, and the fact that Mr. Story is looking to have a family-centered restaurant, I'll move that we approve the zone change from the single-family dwelling district SF1 to highway commercial C3 for the north half of Lot 7, 0.096 acres from parcel 15832. Property owner Pivot Endeavors LLC, agent Troy Stroyer.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Seeing there's no opposed, the motion carries. Keep in mind, this is just a recommendation that we will make to city council. At the end of the day, they have the ultimate decision. When they vote on this, it will go in front of council next Monday, April 8th, correct?
Yes, April 8th. Yes, sir.
Next agenda item number 4, discussion and action on replat combining all lots into one, property ID 15835, Burleson, block 30, lot 7, east 86 degrees of 86 foot of south half and 8 east 86 foot in the north half of lot 7.096 acres from parcel ID 15832, property owner Pivot Endeavors, agent Troy Stroyer. Do we have anybody signed up to speak on?
Yes, sir. I have Cheryl McNeil for item number 4. Okay, thank you. I have Mr. Grover Shade for item number 4. Item number, they've made a motion for number 3. Number 4, there's going to be 4, 4A, 4B, and 4C. Do you want to speak on any of those? Okay. Grover Shade?
Driven or walked down the alley.
Mr. Shade, if you could just go a little bit closer to the mic so people up in the, there you go. Thank you.
I was talking about the alley and seems to be a dwelling on that alley. Is that correct? Not mine, yeah. Okay.
There's 2 dwellings from that.
So now, is that something you do or don't own that frontage on the alley? Trying to buy it. Yeah. I don't know. So the dwelling that I saw looking, put it bluntly, trashy. And if you can't buy it, what's gonna happen to it?
Well, if I buy it, we're tearing it down or we're moving it and we'll have just a grass area back there.
If that's gonna happen.
Trying, if you can talk to the owner to sell it, we'll take it. Yeah. But no, we're negotiating right now.
Well, that to me, something that doesn't look good. And will you build a fence behind your restaurant so people can't see that?
There's already one there that will stay there. Yes.
City standards.
Yes, sir. I believe so. Yes, sir. It's already there. So it's a 6-foot fence.
What is the requirement, Rob, for fence between a piece of property like that?
Well, it's not actually, we own both the properties, so we don't really actually need a fence there. If we're talking about the same fence, we don't need a fence there, but we'll have a fence there to fence in keep the back of our restaurant from the parking area.
The requirement is that if you have a commercial property that abuts a residential property, you have to have a masonry wall or other noise attenuating barrier between classifications. That's the requirement.
So if you can't buy the property, are you gonna build a wall and make those specs?
There's a fence there. Are we talking about the same piece of property?
I was gonna say, I think we're kind of getting off track a little bit right now. We're discussion of the replat, and then there are other items. A is going to discuss about the rear yard setback. B is going to talk about the masonry wall and using a noise equivalent barrier. And C is going to be discussion action variance for the street parking. So 4 that we're talking on right now is about the replat, combining all the lots into one.
Find something you don't know.
No, he does own that, the piece that they just acted on for the zone change. That's the piece, that small piece, and he's at,
But
okay. No, he does not own that one. No.
Well, that's concern I have is, and Troy, you do have a good reputation, and Sue and I eat at Hawkins fairly often. But my concern is that what's gonna happen if you retire? If we all retire at some point and decide to sell that, who's gonna enforce that we don't have a motorcycle repair shop there?
You can't. I mean, that's the bad thing about living next to a commercial property.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, that's the problem of living next to a commercial property is unless you don't want something there, you got to buy it. I mean, that's kind of what my parents have always instilled in me because real estate is in our family. And, but yes, if there are certain, I mean, like you can't have a strip joint. I mean, there are certain ordinances that allow certain things that can go there, but there is a tremendously long list of things that can go there that in my mind could potentially be a lot worse than what I'm doing, you know? I have an issue next door with my neighbor because he has a barking dog. So I always go back to the point, what if and I live in my whole street is zone, my house is commercial, so it always worried me that next door, they could open up I live right next to, let's say a bail bond shop could open up next door. And I was always like, I could imagine just like, like neon sign all day long. Or back to the dog thing, like, what if a dog kennel, like a dog barking all the time is like nails on a chalkboard to me. So that's what I always go back to when I'm telling people the story is like, I mean, this could be a dog kennel and they could have 20 dogs in the back, barking all night long. You know, you can't, unfortunately, you can't say what can and can't go there. So again, I live across the street from the liquor store. 4 o'clock, I can tell you on trash days, 4 o'clock in the morning, that dumpster is getting emptied and it wakes me up all the time. But you know what? Nothing I can do about it, unfortunately.
I think you're making my point and my case for me. That's what we understand, that anything. wind up there.
Basically, that plat's already commercial, so it's gonna be a commercial something.
But that's my point is it's going to be a commercial, but it could be,
That he's trying to take care of, but, if you retire and you sold to somebody else, then, this is our last chance to have some say-so in what goes there. And
I could sell pockets and they could turn it into the craziest, loudest thing. But I'm just saying, like, it's zone commercial. Like,
So, so in respect for time, though, we're on the discussion and action of replat right now. So can we please keep on track with the replat? And then once we get to the other parts, whether it's the parking or the fence or anything like that, we can have more comment on that. Does anybody else? sign up to
Next
speak?
is I have Miss Hillary Alcock for item number 4. Okay. Miss Monica Poss.
We weren't asked to differentiate between 4A, 4B, 4C. So I'm here to talk about 4B for the wall. If you'd prefer, I can sit down and wait for you to say specifically, we're moving on to 4B now.
Well, I think
but-
that's how, it depends on how he's gonna go down
Yeah,
the agenda.
I was hoping to do 4 and then 4A, 4B, and that way we can keep them all separated and stay on
Okay.
one topic at
All
one
right,
time.
then I'll
So-
go ahead and just briefly address 4. So your decision is disappointing to me, but we vote differently occasionally in the past and everybody gets to have their opinion. I think we are lucky that the person who has purchased the property and who would like to open a business there is a respected business owner and has a great establishment now, and we can all hope that what's coming would be along similar lines with a sort of respectability and general consideration. But you are setting a precedence for things creeping further into a residential area, and using Troy's own analogy, if you combine these two properties, you're allowing for, in the future, when we may not have such a respected businessman owning the property, you're allowing for a larger dog kennel, more dogs, more noise, a larger motorcycle repair shop with more noise into the evening. And so I would highly encourage you not to join these two pieces of property.
Next, I have Mr. Charles Canepa, if he would still like to speak. No? Okay. He's withdrawn. That's all that I have for those, for item number 4.
Troy, do you have anything else you want to speak to on it?
I mean, not really. It's just like I said, we're just, yeah, no.
Specifically to the replat
Yeah,
of-
the replat, I think it's pretty straightforward on what we're trying to do with that. So no, I don't really have anything else to say. Thank you.
Does any of the board have anything they want to discuss on that? Well, we're specifically going to do 4 now, and then we'll discuss A, and then and then we'll have a motion and vote on that, and then we'll go to B and take them one line item at a time, because they can get kind of confusing, to try to keep everybody in line with exactly how we're flowing here. So I do have a question. Trying to find it in my notes, but Robert may be able to help, or Tracy. Does the shot clock Texas House bill come into effect on a replat?
Yes. And so if it's turned in and there's no action on it, it just automatically is approved. And if you don't want to approve a replat, you have to give specific reasons of why you wouldn't approve what you disapprove about the replat. And that's going to be state legislative that makes those laws, not the city.
Question. When someone, if they want to change the use of it from a restaurant to a motorcycle repair shop or kennel, dog kennel, how does that affect? I mean, can you put like restrictions on the sale of a business, commercial business?
I can't answer on that. I will say that is how the ordinance reads, that if one is being used, the use changes, then you need to conform to what the ordinance says. I believe Smithville has had a lot of grandfathering for many years, and we're growing, we're getting bigger. Things are changing, obviously, so the ordinance states when the use changes that you must conform, and that's why Mr. Shore is here to ask for those additional design standards and stuff that are later on in the agenda.
Thank you.
Follow-up question. If we keep the 2 lots separate, the indication was that the second half lot was going to be parking. If you keep the 2 lots separate, then future sales, that second lot, lot 8, I think it is, would sell independent of lot 7. Is that correct?
Yeah. As a clerk, I don't want to speak on behalf, as I'm not an official, but I would say, like I said, if you're not going to approve that replat, you have to give specific answers of why you're not wanting to approve that replat. And yes, I guess if you didn't combine the two and you have that line, he could still, it's see, if the zone change happened, I would assume that he could still use it for parking. He just couldn't build over the line. But again, you would have to give, and that's for any replat. That's not just for his, that's the state legislative is the one who make that rule.
Any other comments, questions? If none, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'm gonna give this a try. It's complex when you're doing all these, to get these motions. Is the plat thing is, first of all, is not considered a variance?
No, ma'am.
Is it?
No.
Because for A, there isn't.
It's because the replat has the shot clock, so therefore it has to go before council next week. And these variances go with that replat, so therefore they just all go together. When you get to the variance part, right
We
now,
will
it's
when we
just the
get to
replat
those. So
part.
when you get to the ones that are, the variances, we'll have to read that, the whole.
I know. Okay.
So for number 4 only, this is for
Section should be plat.
yes, ma'am, replat only. So this motion would be for the replat only.
I would move to, we recommend you would not. Yeah.
Recommend, yes.
The combining of all lots into one lot, property ID 15835, Burleson, lot 30, lot 7, E 80 of S 1/2 and 8 E 86, and the north half of lot 7 0.096 acres from parcel 15832, property owner Pivot Endeavors LLC, agent Troy Stewart.
I'll second.
I have a motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Seeing none opposed, the recommendation carries. That one as well will go in front of City Council Monday, April 8th. To the next item, 4A, discussion and action on variance request for a rear yard setback of 8 foot instead of 10. Do we have anybody signed up to speak on that specific?
Again, I have Ms. McNeil who signed up for 4. Would you like to speak for 4A? Mr. Grover Shea, would you like to speak on 4A? Ms. Hillary Alcock, would you like to speak? And Ms. Monica Poss, would you like to speak on 4A? And Charles Knippa, would you like to speak on 4A? I have no others signed up, sir.
Do we have any questions?
See, can you pull up the map that shows the red outline?
That I had technical difficulties. I do have a couple extra copies floating around for people to
Okay.
look at. I do apologize for that.
So for purposes of discussion, the item that is up for discussion is the rear setback. So is that the rear setback of this additional property, because he doesn't own this property? So what setback, are we talking about a setback within this little space?
That back line, yes.
So you want the question to Troy, if you want to come up to the front. Thank you. The question is, where your fence is currently, you want to change that setback from 10 feet to 8 feet to be closer to the
Yes,
fence line.
2 feet. Yes, ma'am.
And then are you only, is that only in regards to this property? Or does it also affect this property?
It's just this.
Just this one right here? Okay. The,
I can't get my.
Right.
In my email, I tried signing in and just, it wouldn't, so I don't have a file to pull up and there's no share drive.
okay. Thank you.
Say that again?
So we just voted, but it hasn't been approved to combine those. How do you distinguish between the two in terms of what's being requested here? Just, do we have a specific lot?
I'll let you handle
Where's
it.
number 4? Discussion and action on variance request of rear yard setback. The number 4 ahead of that was combining the two lots. 4A is just a rear setback change from 8 feet, from 10 feet to 8 feet. So if we are only applying it to the initial lot, then I think we need to distinguish that in what we talk about here.
Let me clarify, you did, as you passed the rezone from SF1 to commercial and made it one entire parcel, the variances now apply to the entire parcel. Single parcel,
So
not,
no more
not,
separating.
not
it.
separate.
Right, so that's what I wanted to clarify is that now we're talking a change here as well as here. Correct. Okay, so it's both, so we don't distinguish between the two. Then my other, oh, so that is number, okay, that's my only question, thank you.
Any other question?
Why do you want the variance?
We're putting a patio on the back, just for the patio cover.
Any other comments or questions for Troy? And if there's no more comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion.
We have to do these separately. Right?
Here it is, here it is.
I would make the
Another
motion.
language on it. The language.
Make a motion.
Oh, you're gonna make it? Okay.
Um, I move to recommend denial to council for item 4A.
To recommend a denial?
Yeah,
Is
that
what
didn't
you
sound
said?
right.
Okay.
I recommend that we deny it. There's other things I need to read about
Yeah,
it.
if you'll just read everything that they.
This little top part, okay. To deny the variance request for a rear yard setback of 8 feet instead of 10 feet. Because it does not, the variance will not, the variance will be will be contrary to the public interest. There are not special conditions affecting the applicant's property. Even with the special conditions, literal enforcement of the ordinance does not result in unnecessary hardship. The variance does not observe the spirit of the ordinance. Substantial justice will not be done by granting the variance. Thank you.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I have a question. The property, what is the setback right now? From the building, the back of the building? Yeah, how many feet is it? It is 10
No,
feet.
it's 28 feet.
Okay, 28, okay.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
No.
No second.
So it dies and then you can ask for another motion.
Motion dies and I'll entertain another motion.
Pardon? Oh. We have to say everything the right, proper way. Sorry.
I move that we make a recommendation to approve the variance. Request for a rear yard setback of 8 feet instead of 10 feet. With the following findings. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest, and there are special conditions affecting the applicant's property. Because of these special conditions, literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. The variance observes the spirit of the ordinance, and the substantial justice is done by granting the variance.
I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing that the ayes for motion carries. Sure, I didn't say that right, but I'm new to this. Please bear with me. So 4A, motion carries. We'll move to item 4B, discussion and action on variance request for masonry wall, additional design standards and use of wood fences as equivalent noise attenuating barrier, chapter 14, part 2, 2.2.10.D3. Do we have anybody that wants to speak on this?
I'll go through the sign up one more time. Ms. McNeil? Mr. Shade? Okay. Mr. Grover Shade?
May I just ask a question? Is there an existing fence there? On the,
On the backside, not on the new lot that they just purchased.
what did you? Okay.
The city code require a masonry fence.
So he's asking for a variance to that, to not have the masonry fence or the equivalent. So it's a masonry fence or something that has the same equivalent noise. How they specifically say it, attenuating barrier. So any equivalent that would reduce the noise would be sufficient.
I would say you stay the requirements. I would say that we need to stay with what's required by the city. And if they require masonry, I would be opposed to a variance on that.
Any other comments or questions? You have anything else, Mr. Shade, or? Okay, thank you.
Ms. Alcock, would you like to speak on 4B? Okay. Ms. Monica Paz? Okay, Ms. Monica Paz?
Hello again. If you are going to allow or recommend that city council allow commercial businesses to creep closer to all the nearby residences, then I would respectfully request that you do whatever is in your power to do to limit the noise coming from that business. If this was, even if this was a seamstress shop going in with a couple cars coming in during the day and a couple sewing machines going inside, and it was quiet as could be, you never know what comes after. And with a business that is likely going to be open for dinner, although we haven't discussed hours, there may be people in nice weather outside talking. When people have a couple beers, they can get loud. So please just be respectful of the residents in the neighborhood and protect us now and into the future by putting a masonry wall there. The only reason a building owner would not want to is for financial reasons, because it costs more. And it says there is a tree, you can build around trees. So thank you.
Mr. Charles Canepa, do you have anything to speak on 4B? Thank you. That's all. No one else has signed up.
Do we have any Any discussion or comments from the board?
Robert, I'd like a point of clarification. Sorry, I just jumped right in. Masonry wall or other equivalent noise attenuating barriers shall be placed to separate all uses and activities on commercial properties. My understanding is that this city considers wooden fences to be noise attenuating.
We've had some cases in the past where the same situation came up, Towers Nursing Home. Masonry wall was required, but they were able to show that the fence that was put up did provide similar noise attenuating properties. So that's why the ordinance is written in that manner. It's a masonry wall or other noise attenuating barrier equivalent. So it's on the onus of the property owner to determine that, or you to authorize by variance. But yes, it's not, in the past, there have been wooden fences that have been classified equivalent to a masonry wall as a noise attenuating barrier, depending upon what the use was.
Any other questions or comments on 4B?
At least two other businesses that have been allowed to put in the wooden fence, but they made it taller. I think there's an 8-foot fence instead of a 6-foot fence behind the Dollar Tree and maybe.
6
No,
foot
it
is
was
the
6 foot.
limit,
foot
but
is
they
the
can
limit.
add 2 foot of lattice to the top or something see-through, and that makes it a total of 8 feet.
Feet, right,
Unless they come in for a variance.
Unless they ask for a variance to have a higher fence. Yes, sir.
right. And that Dairy Queen, I think, was the other one.
I'll entertain a motion if there's no more comments or questions.
No, I was just,
She was
no,
asking
I
a
was making
question.
a comment. I was making a comment about it.
Can I make that comment?
Yes, go ahead.
But I just want to say that the restaurant itself will have its own fence around it, as opposed to fence we plan on building between the purchase property and Mr. Knippa's house as well. So, you know, there will be a double layer of fence as opposed to, you know, just being one fence. So, I mean, we plan on keeping the whole exterior of the restaurant will have a fence around it.
Does that include like going back to the alley? So there will be no alley access for the parking? They can go out the alley?
Yes,
There'll be
it'll
a
be
gate
like
that
pockets
opens
to
the-
where they'll be able to drive out the alley. 'Cause, yes, we don't want
Okay.
them backing back into.
Right.
They'll be able to exit through the alley and
Go
go
out
left
toward the
onto
loop.
the loop, just like, you know, like Pockets is right now.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
There's a maintenance issue. You put up a wood fence, somebody's gonna have to paint it. It's not gonna last forever. For example, I mentioned the fence behind Dairy Queen. I go in there and get food from time to time and come out. That fence usually needs maintenance. Put up a masonry fence, it's there. Now, that's not to say that there won't be, if a car runs into it, sure, you've got to repair it, you've got to fix it, maybe rebuild the whole fence. There's a lot more chance that you're gonna have a maintenance problem with fence than you are with masonry fence. For that reason, I'd recommend that you stay with masonry.
I'd like to make a comment on that.
Give one more chance for comments and
No, I mean, I own the lots behind Dairy Queen, so I don't have a problem with the fence. And when it comes to maintenance, if a masonry fence is put up, we can easily, if someone runs into a fence, we can easily repair that faster and quicker than we can masonry wall. And I will bring up the fact that there is a 24-inch diameter oak tree that sits right on me and Mr. Knippa's property line.
The foundation required for a masonry fence would kill that tree with time.
And we couldn't go up to, even if we couldn't, wouldn't even be able to go up to the tree. I don't know the distance, we would have to stay away from that tree.
You're still gonna stay outside the drip line of the tree, which is.
As opposed to a wooden fence, we can put the post, 5 feet away and we can cantilever the rest of it and we can get up right close to the tree. So, I mean, that's my issue with, it's a beautiful tree. It's a beautiful tree. And I sure don't want to tear it down. And I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms right there. And, I don't think Mr. Knippa wants, his house corner is right there. I'm sure he doesn't want that masonry fence. It would have to either go on his side. I don't know how you would go around it, so, and when this whole issue was brought up, it really had to do with that tree. I mean, it's not the financial part of it. It's just what's the best way we can alleviate issues and still conserve that beautiful tree, so.
And I just want to clarify something that's been said multiple times too. It's a masonry wall or equivalent noise attenuating barriers. Keep that in mind. Doesn't necessarily have to be masonry, but it has to be something that's noise attenuating. So no more comments or questions. We'll take a motion to.
Shade, I'm sorry. No one online can hear you, so everyone has to speak to the mic.
Well, back to the trees, I'd say, one of the owners, I think, made a comment, well, it would kill the tree if you built a masonry fence. And my comment is, we'll drive by the parking lot of the Catholic Church. There's a beautiful old oak tree there. And I walk by it quite often when I walk for exercise. And that tree is not dying.
Thank you. We will close the comments portion here and I'll take a motion for 4B, discussion action variance request for masonry wall.
I would say this. That's variance.
Not with 4, but for 4A, B, and C, we'll need to use the language.
I move to recommend approval of the variance request for masonry wall addition standards and not a masonry wall additional design standards, and use a wooden fence as an equivalent noise barrier, chapter 14, part 2, and 2.2.10.D3 minus. There are special conditions affecting the applicant's property, and that is the elderly oak tree. Is it an oak? I want to be sure to do that right. The variance observes the spirit of the ordinance, and substantial justice is done by granting the variance. Is that okay?
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I've got an emotion and a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, aye. We got a tie. So that'll go to council as a tie, and they'll make the decision on April 8th on that as well. Next, 4C, discussion and actions of variance of off-street parking and loading, parking in the front yard setback line, Chapter 14, Part 3, 3.5.1, H.2.
So I just, yes, just to brief you real quick, this is one of those ordinances that have, just hasn't been enforced. And now that the use is changing, again, everybody has to when you change the use, you have to conform to the ordinance. And this is one of them where it states in the first 25 feet of that property, you would not be able to park. So basically how Doug's had it, where people are pulling up to the front, by ordinance, it isn't allowed. And so therefore, I believe that we should rectify that and get it in the minutes of, to be approved or not, because I do believe the city may decide on removing that one day. Or what's the word I'm looking for? Not remove it or edit it. I don't know. I can't. Revise.
Do we have anybody that's signed up to speak on 4C?
I don't have any specifically 4C, but I'll go through the list again. Ms. McNeil? Mr. Shade? Ms. Alcock? Ms. Monica Poss? Mr. Charles Canepa? There are no others signed up.
Troy, would you like to speak to that? Somebody.
Pretty simple. By granting this, we get 2 extra parking spots. If not, we're just trying to alleviate any issues, and 2 extra parking lots. And Mr. Canepa we've discussed it with him and he's okay with it. And since his property adjoins right next to it. So, yeah, it's just a way to get some extra parking.
So I have a question. So in the front, there are what, 5, 6 spaces in the front, and then on the side, you're gonna have 10 or
So,
12?
yes, in front of the building,
Building
there's,
itself, the current
I
building.
believe there is enough room for 11. And then on the lot that we purchased, if we don't get this, there's 10. If we get this, there's 12. We can put 12 parking spots in. And they'll all be, on the lot, they'll all be 45-degree parking lots back from the street towards the alley. This will just add, yes. Correct.
So essentially, this is asking for parking where people have parked for years.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
if you're combining both of them, yes, I mean, they've always parked in front of the building.
In front of the building.
This is in front, yeah.
But
Yeah, well,
I mean, it kind of is now.
we
Now
voted
it's
that it's all one lot, so
Now it's
you
all one
consider it
lot.
for all the way across, but I guess my
So if
question
you
was,
deny this, we lose what, 11, 13 parking spots? I mean,
I would recommend,
do we, are you making a, we haven't asked for a motion quite yet. Are you, got any questions? Any more questions or comments?
no, it's all, there's parking in front of the building, and then the lot we purchased, it'll be a drive area all the way from the street to the alley, and off that will be 12 parking spots.
like at pockets.
Like a pocket, you'll be able to drive all the way through the alley.
Just want to clarify, this is for the front parking only the first 25 feet. Doesn't have anything to do with the back parking. We're talking about what has happened in a pre-existing non-conforming use. By passing this variance, you bring them into compliance, if you choose to do so.
Just across here.
Yes, sir.
All we're talking about is
That's
the
right.
front 25
Just the
foot.
front, yeah. Yes, for the front yard.
If I don't have any more comments, we'll ask for a motion.
I move for approval of the variance for the off-street parking and loading parking in the front yard setback line, Chapter 14, Part 3, S point 3.5.1 H2. With the following findings, the variance will not be contrary to the public interest. There are special conditions affecting the applicant's property. Because of these special conditions, literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. The variance observes the spirit of the ordinance, and substantial justice is done by granting the variance.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? You got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 5, discussion and action on a replat for Eagleston Block 11A.
That's it.
A final replat for Eagleston Block 11A, lots 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and part of 7th Street right-of-way, property ID 17839, 17842, 17845, 17848, and 17851. Property owners James Nolan, Gilbert and Barbara Brown, Monica Poss, Doris Sampson, City of Smithville agent Bethco Engineering, and City of Smithville. Do we have anybody signed up to speak on?
Yes, sir, I do. I actually have two of the property owners, Mr. Gilbert Brown, and his daughter, Miss Stephanie Hoffman. She doesn't want to speak, but, Mr. Gilbert Brown is signed up. And then we also have I believe Monica Poss. Is that what this is? Okay, and Miss Monica Poss. There's,
Go ahead.
I don't have one. Yes, I'm sorry. I don't have anything to put on the screen. So this is the same replat that came before us back in 2021, early or 2022 for the entire block. And long story short, we are here as that never got all the signatures needed. And so they are trying to replat half of the block of those lots.
Do we have somebody that's gonna speak on that?
We do. I don't know what's happening right now. Yeah, okay. You all right?
Yes. Isn't this something that the city initiated?
Yes, it is. I'm happy to brief you on that. The lots of blocks are never platted properly. And we identified this issue and we hired a surveyor to correct the issue. There were puts and takes. And the end result is that the block has been replatted, whereby no one other house is infringing on other people's property line. This required the city to give up some of our right of way to fix the condition that was caused by the city in the first place. Due to airship issues, it was going to be a larger endeavor, but we split it up into two. And so the people here tonight are half of that block. And if you need to look at the plat, you can see, I think you have a copy of it. So that's where we are. We'll work on the other half when the lady, property owner who passed, and the airship issues, the property is still in probate. So this is a way to move half of it forward. And that's what you're considering today.
So nobody but the city loses property.
So was anybody gonna speak on that?
Mr. Brown, would you like to come up and speak, sir? I'm going to put this microphone up here because I feel like it's a little better. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I just hold it. That way everybody can hear you, sir. Yeah.
I don't talk so good because I'm tired and so if you need to ask me something over, go ahead and ask me over and I answer it for you. But I had a triple bypass and I'm real sick and stuff and I'm weak and stuff. But the thing about it though, the day that all of this stuff happened, they sent an officer over to the resident. First, let me back up first. School teacher that sold the lot to this lady here, and I can't think of her name. Yeah, my daughter have talked to her about buying the lot. So we had set ourselves up to buy the 2 lots because she told us, whenever I sell it, I'm gonna sell it to y'all. She said, now, I don't know what I'm gonna charge you for whatever it's going for. This is what I'm going to do. Well, my daughter, out of the kind of her heart, kept that property, kept up. And I'm talking about mowing it, the trees and stuff and everything. And then this lady jumped up and sold the property from underneath of her. Quite natural. That upset us for number one. And then the next thing that happened to us, when the guy on the corner, and his name is James, I can't think of his last name, but I told him, I say, this is not why the survey go at. And the reason that I say that because the white guy that used to do the survey here in Smithville a long time ago, I used to do the survey with him. So I had some recall of the property where we was at. And I told the officer that day he came up, I say, I'm on my property. He said, Mr. Brown, he said, I'm gonna ask you one more time. He said, you need to move because if you don't move, I'm gonna take you to jail. What I should have did is let him tuck me to jail. And then all of this would have been taken care of. And just like the white guy that was on the corner there, Jane, me and him got to be a real good friend and everything. And me and him came to an agreement. And I told him, I said, well, I say, the way the proper line is, I say, I am so close to, well, I'm right on the proper line. When you take the bottom step out of my daughter's trailer, which we live there now, that's why the line is at. I say, if you give me a foot of your property on your side, I say, that's all I would need. And he agreed. He said, well, hey, man, if you want a foot, he said, go ahead and take a foot. He said, what I'm going to do, where the line is at, I'm going to try to go back and buy that from the city, if I can. He said, and then we can deal with some more, me and you can come to agreement. And so I told him, I said, well, that's fine with me. I said, matter of fact, I said, that's about the only thing that I hear that is really good, you know? So I'm tired of it. And I just want to get it over with. And just like the city supervisor, when he said that, you know, it's time to close this, put an issue to it. I'm happy what we got now and everything because I figure I'm not gonna be here too much more long. My grandkid and my daughter and all of them gonna be taking over. But like I say, I just hope that y'all go ahead and get it straightened out or we just can get on with our life. Thank you for hearing me.
For coming up and speaking.
Yes, ma'am. And the replat does indicate that that line does run at the very end of those steps. And then, of course, y'all will get a copy of this if everybody signs, if all the property owner signs and it gets filed with the county. The city will be providing you with a copy of this replat so you can have it for your records, okay? got one more speaker and that's going to be, oh, and she's withdrawn. And the timer's about to go off. Hold on. I don't have anyone else signed up to speak.
Any of y'all have any questions or comments y'all want to make on this?
I recommend that.
Microphone, please. Can't hear online. They want to hear you.
You want me to use my outside voice? Okay. I make a motion that we recommend to the council to approve the final replat for Eggleston Block 11A, lots 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and part of the 7th Street right-of-way property. ID 17839, 17842, 17845, 17848, 17851. Property owners James Nolan, Gilbert and Barbara Brown, Monica Post, Doris Sampson, City of Smithville agent, Echo Engineering, and City of Smithville. Oh, but this is, this is not a.
It's not a
for
variance. Okay, I second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to,
Chair,
the
I will
replat.
ask, I'm sorry, can you, tell me your I heard your motion, but Nancy made the motion. Who's second? Okay. Thank you.
help me with the wording, Robert. We just, meeting's over and have a good day, or?
Be on the 8th.
Yes, everything that was discussed today will go in front of the council on the next Monday, the 8th, April 8th. Thank y'all and have a good evening. Oh,
Thank you.
I got it.
Everybody that's not, that doesn't.
Well, I don't know. I got one. Is that yours? Unless I have two copies. Do you have one, Lee?
You handed me yours, and I handed yours back to you.
Yeah, and I have one. So do you need one? I handed mine towards you, and now I have two.
Okay, let me-